Hi guys, this is Taken57 and today I'm going to be recording a tutorial on how to create a wrestler pack archive for a new wrestler that you want to add to the game, and I'm also going to be showing you how to add this new wrestler to your game into a new unused slot. Alright, the first thing we need to do is you need to determine a slot number that you want to allocate your wrestler to. The game has multiple slots. Some of these slots are already allocated to pre-existing wrestlers which ship with the game. However, the game has additional slots which are not allocated to any wrestlers. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be using one of these unallocated slots to add our wrestler into. So in order to determine which slot you want to add your wrestler into, first thing we're going to do is take a dump of the save. So start your WWE 2K19 game, get to the title screen. Once you are at the title screen, open up X-Packer, click on File, Open, WWE 2K19 PC version, Dump Memory. Okay, select where you want to dump this memory. I'm going to save this in a folder called WWE 2K19 Save. Alright, and this will dump both the wrestler info and the moveset info from your save. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the wrestler info, which is File, Open, WWE 2K19 PC version, wrestler info dump, or Control+U. Okay, this will open up the wrestler info dump from your save file and will list all of the slots which are available for you to use. Now, generally, a ch.pack list is released on forums on the internet, so you can compare this list against the slots which are listed in your save and determine which of these slots are unallocated. Okay, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I've already done this, and I'm going to use slot 484 to add our wrestler in. So you can see slot 484 is available. You can just confirm that there isn't already a wrestler in slot 484 by going into your CH folder of your game installation and looking for CH484. Okay, we can see that CH484 doesn't exist, meaning that this slot is available for us to use. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a pack archive to hold all of the files that you require for your wrestler mod. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using Fin Below as my base pack file for which to create my wrestler mod on. I'm going to be using my mod which I created last year for 2K18, Chris Benoit, which is using a Fin Below base. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get the CH and the TX files from the game and copy them into a folder which we are going to be working in. If you need to determine which CH and TX files correspond to which wrestler, you can refer to the CH pack list which I mentioned earlier, which is usually posted on the internet. The CH files contain the model and all of the other files which is required to make the model work within the game, and the TX pack archive contains the textures for the model. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the pack file for Fin Below. We're going to do this by clicking on File, Open, PC, Xbox 360, PS3, 2K18, 2K17 file, or Control+4. Alright. Once we open up this file, you'll see that this pack archive contains an SHDC file. So we need to extract the files which is contained within this file. The pack file is the main archive, and it serves as a container for any additional files which are to be stored in it. Okay, so we can extract all the files in the SSDC archive. We do this by double-clicking the file, and this will list all of the files that are contained within the SSDC archive. Now you'll notice that with 2K19, the URL extension is new, and this is basically a new compression format. I've added the ability to decompress this in X-Packer. However, the decompression of these files is handled externally to X-Packer, meaning that X-Packer does not contain any code for the decompression of URL and rather uses a DLL, which is found in your 2K19 installation directory. So if you want to decompress these files, you need to do the following. You go into your 2K19 folder, you look for the file that's called 002 core underscore 6 underscore win64.dll and copy this into your X-Packer installation directory. Thereafter, if you hit the decompress button or decompress all button in X-Packer, X-Packer will be able to decompress these files for you. Okay, I'm going to hit the decompress all file, and I'm going to put this into a folder called extracted. Alright, all the files have been extracted to this folder. So if you go to the extracted folder, you will see all of the files listed. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to extract the files from the texture archive. So I'm going to create a folder called text, which I'm going to extract my textures into, and I'm going to open this in X-Packer. The shortcut key is the same, Ctrl+4. Okay, once again I'm going to double click the file, and I'm going to hit decompress all. I'm going to put this into the text folder. Alright, if I browse to the text folder, you'll notice that there's a number of pack files that have been extracted. These are actually texture files which are in DDS format, so we need to rename all of these from pack to DDS. So I'm going to click on the title bar, I'm going to type in cmd space, which is going to open up a command window in this directory for us, and I'm typing rename star.pack to star.dds. Alright, and now we can see that these have been renamed to DDS, and you can see that these are actually texture files. Now unfortunately with the TX archives, the names of the textures are not listed. So you need to manually rename these files. So if you need to get the names of these files, the easiest way to do this is to open up X-Ray and open up the main Wrestler Y object file. Okay, this is Finn Balor's Y object. Click on Edit Materials, and this will list all of the names of the textures for you. Okay, unfortunately you need to manually assign the names to the textures. So you need to look at the texture and determine which texture it is. For example, this is head, this is all underscore color, this is eye, etc. Alright, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I've already done this for us, and I've already renamed all the files accordingly. The next thing you need to do is to create a texture archive to hold all of the textures we've just extracted. This is because I don't want to use a separate TX texture archive. I actually want to use a 000C, which contains your head, all color, and head underscore F textures, and a 000A texture archive, which contains all of the remaining textures for the attire, the normals, etc. Alright, so I'm going to do this for the 000A texture archive. So I'm going to go back into X-Packer. I'm going to click on File, New, Texture Archive, or Ctrl+N. I'm going to select the textures. So all of the textures with the correct names. And I'm going to click on Create Texture Archive. I'm going to call this 000A. Alright, now we have created a texture archive for the attire and normal, etc. You need to do the same for the head, all underscore color, and head underscore F textures, which will be contained in a 000C texture archive. Now to save time, I've already done this, but the procedure for creating this texture archive is the same as I followed for creating the 0008 texture icon. So if I open this, you can see that there are 3 textures in this, which is all color, head underscore F. The next thing we need to do is to sculpt your model to resemble the wrestler that you are trying to create. This will be done using an external program such as 3D Studio Max, Mudbox, Maya, Blender, etc. Okay, I've posted a tutorial on the process flow I use for sculpting my models, so you can watch that tutorial if you need more information on this. For now, I already have all the objects prepared, and I have them in a folder called objects, which I've extracted and exported from 3D Studio Max in object format. Alright, so I'm going to open up the Funvelo Y object file in the extracted folder we just created. Alright, I'm going to hit inject all objects, and I'm going to select the objects folder. Alright, this is going to inject all of the objects into the Funvelo pack for us. Alright, if I double click the head, you will see this is now Chris Benoit's head. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, for the purpose of this mod, I have Chris Benoit's attire in a separate Y object file because he uses tights and boots, which is not contained in the Funvelo Y object file. So I only need the main body objects from Funvelo, which is up to object 17, including his beard. Object 18 to object 26 are objects which I do not need because these are his attire objects, and I have these in a separate Y object file. So I'm going to reduce the number of objects in this Y object to 18. Remember, the count starts from 0. So I'm going to make it 18. I'm going to hit save. Alright, and now you can see that none of the attire objects are here. The legs look a bit weird because I've scaled this down to prevent clipping issues with the attire objects. Alright. Now I have the second wrestler Y object prepared already for his attire. I'm not going to go into how I created this to save time, but if I open it up, you can see that it has tights, boots, and these wrist guards. Right, now that we have the texture archives prepared, the wrestler Y object prepared, and the attire Y object prepared, I'm going to copy these into the extracted folder, and I'm going to create the wrestler pack file. Alright, so I normally, if you're adding additional wrestler pack files, I normally follow the naming convention of assigning it a name of 001A, 001B, 5606, 5607, or 5608. This is so that the game recognizes the file as an additional object file and will load it accordingly. Alright, so I'm going to copy the 001A into the extracted folder. I'm going to do the same for the 000C, the pack file. I'm also going to take the 00CE file. This is a file which is used to do the masking for the object, so that you do not have objects which clip. I have a separate tutorial discussing how masking is done. You can view that if you need more information. To save time, I've already created this file for us. I'm going to take the 4E22, which is the eyelashes, the 2580 and the 2715, which is the hair object, and 2580 is the file which controls the hair movement. I've already scaled and moved these objects so that we don't have to waste time doing so in this tutorial. Alright, so I'm going to copy this into the extracted folder. Alright, so we have the wrestler Y object file, which we disinjected the Chris Benoit objects into. We can delete the back file, which was created by X-Rey, we don't need that. The full preview material also was generated by X-Rey, we don't need that as well, we can delete those. Alright, so there's a few other files which we need to delete as well. For instance, the 25E4 pack file is used to control the wrestler movement in game. and will sometimes cause glitches with objects when we are adding new objects to the pack file. In this instance, I have a second Y object file for the attire, so this will definitely cause it to glitch, so we don't need this file. Secondly, we'll delete the 0014.pack file. This is the file which tells the pack archive that it needs to load the textures from a separate TX texture archive. But because we are using a 000C and a 000A.pack file, we can delete this. Oh, one other thing I forgot to do was to copy the 000A.pack file which we created for the attire and normal textures. So let's put this there as well. Alright, so now we have all the files that are required to create our pack archive. Alright, so I'm going to go back into X-Packer, and I'm going to go into File, New, Pack Archive. I'm going to select all the files in the extracted folder. Okay, very importantly, you need to order these files by name. If you do not order this by name, you can cause the game to crash or can cause glitches in the wrestler mod. So just click on the file name column in X-Packer, and this will order the names for you. Now you have two options. You have the option to create a pack archive, which is an uncompressed archive, or you can create a compressed archive. Now a compressed archive, you will take all of the files that you've added, compress them to zlib, and then thereafter create a pack file. Now the reason why you have a compressed archive is because the game has a limit of 80 megs for a wrestler pack, and if you exceed 80 megs, then the game will hang and won't load the wrestler pack that you've created. So the choice is up to you. In this instance, if I look at the files that we are going to add, it totals 76 megs. So it's very, very close to 80 megs. So in this instance, I'm going to choose to create a compressed archive. So I'm going to click on Create Compressed Archive. Alright, this is going to ask you to assign a name. So the naming of the pack file works as follows. It's 000, your slot number, which is 484 in this example. And thereafter 02 is for the in-ring pack file, and 04 is for the entrance pack file. In this case, we are creating an in-ring pack file, so I'm going to type 02. Alright, X-Packer has created the file for us. If I look at the file size, it's 28.6 megs, so the game should load it without issue. The next step you need to follow is you need to create a ch.pack file, and this ch.pack file needs to hold the pack.h file which we've just created. Alright, now just to quickly explain, the game uses different types of formats for the ch.pack files. If you open up one of the newer pack files in a hex editor, you will see that these have a header of HSPC, which is the newer pack format. The problem with this is that you cannot assign a name to the file contained within this container. And in order for the game to load the correct files for your assigned slot, the files contained within the container need to contain the number of the slot. So to solve this problem, we need to use a pack file from one of the older games, like WWE 2K16. So I have the ROX 2K16 pack file here. If you open this in a hex editor, you will notice that this has a header of EPK8, which is the file that you need. We need to name this to correspond to the slot which we are assigning wrestle to, which is CH48402, because it's an in-ring file. Alright. We need to open this in X-Packer. Alright, so an important thing to note here as well is that previously we used the Control+4 option because that was a 2K18, 2K17 pack. But since we are using an older pack file from one of the older games, you'll use the pack file option, which is Control plus Q. Okay, we open our ch48402.pack. Alright, right away you'll notice that the file name is still 100.02, which is the rock slot, and we need to change this to correspond to the wrestler slot that we are injecting into. So I'm going to right click on the name, and you're going to be prompted for a file name that you want to assign. So we're going to make this 48402, 48402. Click on OK. Now we are ready to inject the package file which we created in the extracted folder. Alright. Okay, the file has been injected, and we are ready to copy the ch file installation directory for 2K19, which is pack ch. Okay, now the rest of the pack has been added to the game. So there are a few more things you need to do for the game to load this file. Firstly, your game installation has a file called chunk0.arc. This file controls what files need to be loaded and also lists the file sizes of each of the files. As such, you cannot add new files to the game if this file exists. This file will speed the loading of the game up, but is not required. So I'm going to delete this. You'll notice that your game takes a little bit longer to load up, but if you do not delete the arc file, you cannot add new content to the game. Secondly, you'll notice that there's a file called chunk0.def. This file lists all of the files which are contained in the pack directory. Since we've added a new file to the pack directory, which is our ch48402.pack, this chunk.def file needs to be updated. So we go into X-Packer, we click on Utilities, and we click on Create 2K18, 2K19 def file. This will ask you to point to the pack directory in your 2K19 installation folder. So I'm going to go into pack. It's going to point this there, WWE2K19 pack. You click on select folder. Then you are prompted as to where you want to store the def file. This is your 2K19 installation directory. Before you do this, please take a backup of your def file, so that if there are any issues that occur, you can restore your original def file. Okay, I've selected the WWE2K19 directory. I'm going to click on select folder, and this has now created a new chunk.def file. Okay, so the game is now ready to load the files that you've copied to the ch directory. If you have the game running already, you need to exit the game and you need to restart it. Now that the game has loaded the wrestler pack file, you still will not be able to use the wrestler in game until you add the wrestler info and the moveset info to the save file. So if you go into my WWE, you'll see that the wrestler doesn't appear on this list. So we're going to go into X-Packer again. We're going to click on File, open WWE2K19 PC version, dump memory, like we did at the beginning of this tutorial. I'm going to select the 2K19 save directory. I'm going to click on select folder, and this is going to create a dump for us. Alright, so now I'm going to open up the wrestler info. Okay, now we need to inject the wrestler info for slot 484 in order to make this wrestler visible in the menus and to use it in game. Okay, if you are adding a wrestler where you already have the wrestler info or the PFO file, then all you will need to do is inject the PFO file into the appropriate slot, and the wrestler will appear in game. However, for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm just going to use the ROX POFO file and edit it for our wrestler slot. So I'm going to extract slot 100.pofo, and I'm going to inject this into slot 484, which is the slot which we are going to be using for Chris Benoit. I'm going to click on inject. I'm going to select slots 100.pofo. If you scroll down to slot 484, you'll notice that now it's named slot 100. Okay, so we double click this, and the reason why it is named slot 100 instead of slot 484 is because it's taken the wrestler ID for the Rock. This needs to be changed. Because we are using slot 484, we need to give it the wrestler ID of 484. You can change the other attributes if you want here as well. For instance, Chris Benoit's height is 1.8 meters. You can select the other options as well. If you select an option of 1, then the wrestler will appear under the DLC menu or the DLC drop down. If you select 0, he will appear under the list of normal wrestlers. And only like to add my additional wrestlers under the DLC menu so I can find them easily, but it's up to you. Alright, the name, nickname and short name are referencing a value in your strings.pack file. At the moment, these are all pointing to the string references for the Rock. So if you open up your strings pack file, extract the 0000.pack file and open this up in X-Packer, you will see a listing of all the names contained within the string file. I've already done this for us. Alright, you'll see that these have a file name, and the file name that's listed here is what is being referenced in your POFO file. Okay, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to assign Chris Benoit the name of Chris. Okay, if you look at the file name, it's listed here. So I'm going to copy this value, and I'm going to paste it here. Alright, you can change the menu sort number as well, but the game automatically assigns sorting based on the wrestler name, so it's not required anymore. You can click on inject. Alright, and you see that now it is assigned slot 484. Okay, if you are happy with the work that we've done for the wrestler info, you click on save changes into memory. Now if you go into my WWE, you'll notice there is a wrestler listed under the name Chris, which is the name you've assigned. So your wrestler is now selectable in game. Before you can use a wrestler in game, you need to also allocate the wrestler a moveset. At present, the moveset uses the default moveset allocated to the slot, so things like your entrance will not work, and the moveset itself may have glitches which will cause the game to crash. So we're going to click on File, Open, WWE 2K19 PC version, moveset dump. I'm going to open up the moveset dump which was created. Alright. Now generally you would have a moveset which is already created for you. This is usually posted on multiple forums, etc. For this purpose, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to use the ROX moveset. So I'm going to extract the ROX moveset, which is slot 100.moveset, and I'm going to inject this into slot 484. Thereafter, we hit save changes into memory again. Alright, so now the wrestler info and the moveset has been allocated to your wrestler. So now you need to do something in the game to save the changes so that the changes to the save we've just made become permanent. So we're going to go back into my WWE, edit superstar, and we're going to change anything for one of the wrestlers. So I'm going to change this value, for instance, and I'm going to hit save. Make sure you select save all settings. Alright, so now our wrestler is ready to use in a match. So I'm going to go into one of the matches. I'll go to download the superstars, and our wrestler is listed under Chris. And I'm going to select another wrestler. And you can see our wrestler has been successfully added into the game. Because we've given him the Rock's moveset, he has the Rock's entrance. But another thing you should note is that if you're porting wrestler mods from older games, you will need to edit the textures for the skin and the head. You'll find that the textures look very tanned in the new game, so you will need to increase the brightness and the contrast of these textures to match the in-game wrestlers. I'm not going to do that for this tutorial. It's very simple to do. You can do this in Photoshop. Alright, that is the end of this tutorial. I hope that it was helpful to you, and it explains many of the questions that you guys have posed to me in forums and on email with regards to creating new wrestler packs and adding wrestlers to the game. If you have any more questions, you're welcome to email me or post in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video, and enjoy modding the game. Until next time, take care.